about why you should only sell what you are 100% confident about and that you can truly hold energetically within your field. So this is gonna be an interesting topic. How you guys are all doing? I'd love to hear from you. So how's your day going? What's going on? Whatever in the world you are. And if you're watching this on a replay, hashtag replay, so I know you've been here. Yeah, so today we're talking about the capacity of your energy field, like what can you hold, and why we should only sell whatever it is that we own internally, that we're 100% confident about, that we can sort of back it up with our expertise. So first, let's look at what happens as a misalignment to that. One of the things I've seen lately, which is why I'm doing this specific video, because I ran into yet another person that's been doing that, is that so many spiritual entrepreneurs, spiritual coaches, or healers believe that the only way that they can sell their services at the next level, like to create higher level programs, premium packages, and so on, if they modify what they do and do it in a way that incorporates some components that somebody else told them they should be doing. So what that looks like is, let's say, somebody who normally is super amazing at, like this example, I'll actually tell you the example. She's probably not watching, but I'm not gonna name her. She is an incredible healer. She actually really, like, she can see energy like me. I can see energy, but we have different skills. I see energy more in a sense of multidimensional approach and timelines and possibilities and the auric field and all that. She sees more directly in the matter, so in the body. You would think of it like a medical intuitive. So more like directional little things. And what she was doing as far as like her higher packaging, it was some sort of a semi-corporate setup of kind of like how you can be like more harmonious in your mindset or something. It was just like, whoa, that's made her so generic sounding and uninteresting. And her actual amazing skill was not even mentioned. So that's because some previous coach told her that you can never sell, you know, that, like ability to see into the body. Nobody will pay for that. Instead, or they will pay only a low fee. And instead, you should create group programs for this mindset thing. So she was doing that and it wasn't working. And it's like, well, no wonder it wasn't working, because it was not her, like her spirit wasn't in it. It was not naturally what her expertise is in. Or another example. Somebody that I worked with before, she came to me and she is somebody who is able to find balance within your environment, like sort of create a smooth flow within the space. And she was creating that in relationships because somebody told her that she should work with couples because that's where that smooth flow is, like, so they don't argue, let's say, is needed, like to save the marriage. That was her package, you know, save your marriage. Now, that's an awesome idea if that person is actually into it, but she's actually was a person who wasn't, like, she didn't really have a relationship that, you know, she would do that with in her own life. She was actually more of a hermit type of a person. So it's like everybody has their own path. That was not her path. It's like somebody who is not even in relationship, and then she was creating this whole thing about smoothing out relationships. And I'm not saying that for a relationship coach you have to be in a relationship. No, you don't. You just have to be good at what you do. But that was not her thing. So anyway, you're getting what I'm saying. The point here is that when we try to promote and sell something that we can't fully back up energetically, like we internally are not 100% confident, you know, I always, well, I'll finish that sentence. That means that the other person that's receiving us telling them about, oh, I'm selling this awesome program, you should buy it, they kind of getting, something is off here, I don't think I'm going to buy it. That's because subconsciously the client or potential client will be responding to the energetics of how you show up. All right. So let's say if somebody is showing up with the energy of, I'm going to help you create a multi-million-dollar business and it will be awesome. And they themselves are not actually anywhere near that level and they never work with somebody at that level, that's too big of a gap. Now, if that person happens to be, let's say, a business coach or money coach that actually does help businesses create financial something to the next level, as long as it's appropriate to her range, that would still totally work. But that would be too big of a gap if that's not where she actually is at. So then somebody who would be tuning into her, they would not be purchasing if they were at that level. Like if somebody's, let's say, already at 700,000 level or something, they would not be signing up with somebody who says, I'm going to get you to multi-millions, when that person herself is actually at a much lower level. That doesn't make sense. The same thing with like the example of the healing that I gave you, somebody who can see energy. Well, think of it in the opposite direction. Somebody says that I am a healer, I can heal your energy, I can heal your body, and all they did is they took like a Reiki class and maybe they're certified in some healing technique that they practiced like, for 6 months. That's not somebody who should be selling that at a super high level. At the lower fee, that's fine. That's how you get practice and get good at something, but definitely not at the higher level. So obviously integrity is very important, but it's also, I'm speaking to you guys as in, I know you're already people of integrity, so you wouldn't be selling something because you're trying to get money. Like that's so not what we do, right? So if I see this among my community, among more spiritual type of coaches or healers or holistic professionals who are actually really good at what they do and they are at the level where their business is functioning, they have clients, it's like everything is sort of working, maybe needs fine tuning, but it's working. Within that community, when I see this, it's always because somebody told me that I can't with what I have, so I have to something that else that's the thing that's gonna sell it. Like let's say somebody who's a spiritual coach that says, I have to do business because unless I do business, it doesn't work. No, you don't have to do business if that's not your thing. If it is, great, but if it's not, no. The same thing with somebody who is, let's say, an accountant and says, well, I can only sell mindset. I can't sell anything like, accountant type of services. No, of course you can. It just needs to be packaged differently. So most of the time, the issue is that the actual soul expertise is not recognized and not owned. And then because of it, there is all these misconceptions about, but when I show up, what do I give them that has a different value? Because when you don't own something, you don't give it value, right? So in order for you to really feel like, okay, what I do has value, you need to know what your soul expertise is so that you fully ground it within your being. Okay, so the basic structure here energetically is that if you can hold it within your field, that means you own the value of it. That means it's within your container. Great. Now from that place, you can go and share that with the world. But what we do is we say, oh, I don't really know what I'm offering, so I can't really own it, which means I don't really know what the value of it is. So then the container sort of falls apart. Like we don't have that energy container to hold what we are actually offering. And when we go into the world without having built that container to hold our own value, what ends up happening is that we feel insecure, we feel wobbly, we feel maybe not good enough at times. We definitely feel like nobody would want it, nobody would buy it. What if it doesn't work? This is kind of funny that this happens actually a lot with people who are already successful at a certain level. Because when you build success in a specific way, you know what you're doing on that way. And then when you try to go to the next level, that's where all the issues comes up, because your own soul says, hey, you gotta graduate here. Like you gotta actually own more of your value. But if we're not realizing that that's what we need to do, owning the value seems like I don't even know what that means. Instead, we go into, oh, I need to do something differently, like action, 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 right? I need to work harder. Or I need to learn another strategy, apply it, and then do that. And then that should work. Or the example I'm using today is I have to do something else instead of what I actually am good at. And that you should never do, because energetically, that actually sabotages your ability to attract to you the clients that would want to work with you. It will either attract no clients, and then you just have to go back to what you were originally doing anyway, or it will attract the types of clients that you don't want to work with. This was just a recent example. Someone that I talked to, she is a holistic professional. She is very good at what she does. She went to the next level of doing something in a sort of a higher arena, bigger groups. And it was somewhat successful because she knew how to sort of create the activity and attract people in, and she had a community. But she went all the way to just doing mindset, essentially. And that was not her area of expertise. So that created hardship. Like, she was able to actually create enough of the inflow financially, and it did raise her income to the next level. But she was like dying in her business. She was hating it because it's like, oh, if this is what like the next level looks like, I don't want it. I want the previous level, but it felt better. So the reason she wanted previous level is not because it was somehow easier. It was actually, she was working harder. She was making less money and she was working more hours. And the new level, she was working less hours and making more money. But that didn't matter because she was exhausted, because all the people she was working with were wrong people. And they were wrong people simply because she was selling incorrect thing. Back to why? Because she wasn't owning the actual value of what she was bringing. So instead of upgrading the thing she already has and creating a bigger container, she kind of put it aside and then went and built some other thing that she thought she should sell at the next level. So that's something that I really want you to understand. So for the ones of you who are watching this and you're like, who is this woman? And this is the first time you're running into me, I'm Eugenia Oganova. I am Wealth Energetics Business and Marketing Coach. So what that means is I help you avoid years of ineffective, inefficient strategies that only hurt you and twist you into a pretzel doing something you think you should be, and instead elevate you to the next level by aligning you to your own unique way. Whatever is in your soul contract, whatever your soul design is, so you can fully live your purpose and actually feel your needs are met in your business and you end up doing the things you love doing. There's still work. There's always work. Every business is going to be work. So I'm not promising some sort of a like, oh, ease and flow and everything is great and you like work 1 hour a day and make $1 million. No, you still have to do the work. But you do that work with joy, with fulfillment. You do that work by interacting with the right people that you actually meant to serve. So that's what I do. Back to what I'm talking about today, the container to hold whatever it is that you're bringing through has to match your natural ability to value whatever it is you're bringing through. So if you're having difficulty attracting to you people that are correct people, if you're trying to rise to the next level, like raise yourself to the next level, elevate what you're doing, create a higher or more complex level program, or create a group event of some sort, or get yourself booked to different stages or podcasts. Like nowadays, all the stages with the virus are closed. But let's say if it's not in person, virtual speaking events of some sort and so on, and it's not working. Most of the time it's energetically because whatever we're broadcasting out, whatever it is that you're promoting to the world, you're promoting the frequency that is not matching your actual talent, like whatever your expertise is. Okay, so think of it like this is something you come in with. This is your soul expertise. This is this seed from God, from the source, from the spirit, whatever you want to call it, universe, that drops into you when you incarnate. Now, within a lifetime, you will explore that thing. You will figure out how you can use it. You probably will apply it to some profession you have. It might be literally your profession, or it might not. Like, let's say I have a client whose expertise is to hold space, sort of like if you're interacting with her, you're in this beautiful aquarium and she creates waves. And these waves gently modify your system, and then amazing creative breakthrough happens or something else happens, and it's just like magic. Now, that's not a skill that you normally think you can market, right? This is like, well, what do I do with that? So her, let's say, actual like experimental sort of how do you apply that, the job might be something else. But the point is that if you know what that thing actually is, then that's what you need to keep working on valuing within yourself, opening up your container to hold that value. And then from that place, figuring out how to express it to the world. So that would be positioning and messaging and so on. This is also parts of the things that I do, is kind of help you figure out how to package the unpackageable things. That should be my, little motto there, or a slogan, that this is what she does. Package the unpackageable things. Something that people that I work with have multidimensional access, or at least some otherworldly reality entering into this reality. So when we have that, it's very hard to translate it into 3D. So that's part of like, how do you package that it's actually something that somebody wants to buy? Well, depending on who you're going to be selling it to, there's obviously a big range there as to how it can be packaged, but it still could be somehow packaged that whatever it is that you naturally brought in is the essence of what you do, even if the label on it is something else. So I was going to say something, I forgot. Holding that container, holding that energy for yourself is how you give charge to this thing that you want to bring to the world. That's what I was going to say. When, like, I always think of it like a test. If somebody woke you up in the middle of the night and said, I have this spot opened up on this podcast, and can you go and talk, like right now, we need you. What would you talk about? You're half asleep. You're like, your mind maybe still haven't fully booted up because you in the middle of your sleep cycle. What can you talk about that would not require not only preparation, but wouldn't even require thinking? Wouldn't even require you have to sit down and think, okay, what am I going to say, whatever. But instead, it's more like, here's the microphone, go. What would you say? What would be the absolutely natural something that will start flowing out of you when you're half asleep, when your mind, the mental level, has not even woken up yet? Whatever that is, that would be connected to that inner place. Might not be exactly that, because it might be nonverbal, the very thing that you're bringing through. So the words don't always describe it, but they do usually, in this little example that I gave you as a test, they do come up close to whatever it is that you actually meant to express. So knowing what that is super important. When you understand, that's the thing that makes me unique. And that thing could be really, really, really unusual. It doesn't matter. What does matter is that you are able to fully own it. Because if you do, then it could be packaged and broadcasted out, and somebody somewhere will need it. But when we try to, instead of selling that, this is a process, mind you, so this definitely takes some work and internal figuring out. But if that's done correctly in energetics, then when you show up, whatever you build after that, whatever programs you have, whatever type of packages or whatever systems, or if you're an agency, maybe, packages that you create with your clients, whatever, all those things, they feel glorious. They feel awesome. They feel like you're actually excited and alive doing them because they have that essence piece in there. That's actually one of the indication that you can listen to yourself. Whatever you're doing, as soon as you're noticing like, it's like there's a friction, or it doesn't quite feel right, or the typical insecurity, like, oh, I'm going out there and I don't know if I can actually do it, you need to ask yourself, what is off here? Either what you're putting out is completely incorrect, which for a lot of people it is, or what you're putting out you don't fully own, which is another side of that coin. Like, let's say I had a client who was extremely, extremely good at being able to bust open people's misconceptions or myths, like assumptions. So kind of like she was just looking at something and the person would speak, and as the person speaks, she would be like, well, no, this is like, you're looking at it from this angle, you need to look from that angle. And it was practical, like an application to material life. So instead of owning that, she was trying to be an inspirational coach when she was just sort of being somebody's cheerleader. Now, that's plenty if somebody actually naturally is that cheerleading type of quality, and they could be probably an awesome inspirational coach. But for that specific person, this was like, what? It was like a totally wrong note, because she's actually not that inspirational. She's more like someone who, a disruptor. She breaks the limitations. So with someone like that, we had to figure out, like, okay, how can we package this disruption in a good way that actually would be very attractive and somebody would want it. But first she had to internally claim that, oh, that's what I do. And she kept judging that and saying that this is something that is bad about her, and she always like can't keep her mouth shut and whatever, when actually that was her skill, that was her talent, that was her sole expertise. So instead she put a lid on it and went trying to do this inspirational thing and was wondering why it's not working. Well, it's not working because she is not owning that. She owns this, and she wasn't even fully owning this, the very thing that she meant to do. So with her, we had to figure out, like, okay, how can you own this disruption so then that could be put out? Or another example, somebody who is very naturally magnetic, and it's almost like all she has to do is just show up and look pretty and people want to go towards her. Some people are just like that. Like, you don't even need to open your mouth. She has this yummy energy about her that she's just desirable. Like, people want what is in her field. Now, what she actually does is brings that smoothness in when she talks to a client, and that energy, it feels like a beautiful pearlescent blanket that just wraps people around and they feel so loved and cherished and seen. And then within that, she can guide them wherever, you know, her specialty is. But when she wasn't owning that, it was translating into, oh, I have to think more and I have to have a strategy that I teach them. So she was trying to be a strategist. And it's like, okay, you can know strategy, you can help with strategy, but that's not your actual soul expertise. That's not that thing that you need to value and put in your container. So when we build our container on something that is incorrect, something that we think we should be doing, we end up selling something that we cannot back up with our own expertise, our own experience, our own success within ourselves and with our clients. And that never works. Never mind, it's out of integrity to do. So we want to make sure that whatever it is that we're putting out, we fully own. So I definitely invite you to look into whatever packages, programs, or offers you have that you maybe not fully 100% sold on yourself. So you internally look at it. Is it because what I'm putting the emphasis here in this package or program is off? Because sometimes you actually have the correct thing in there and the incorrect, and the emphasis is on the incorrect one because you think it will sell, when the emphasis needs to move to the correct one, and then the other piece will just be an add-on. So is the emphasis correct? Or maybe it's something that you're putting out that actually is totally awesome and in alignment with you, but you don't fully own it. Because if you don't own your value, nobody else is going to reflect that to you and say, oh yeah, you're awesome, you're valuable. It's like we have to do that first to ourselves, because people energetically will sense it subconsciously and they will respond negatively or neutrally instead of positively if they're sensing that you don't fully own what you're selling. So if you have an offer or something you're wobbling about, it's either that what you're selling is completely incorrect, which with you guys probably not. So the second option is that the emphasis is in the wrong place, like whatever your key broadcast, key point you're putting out there and positioning yourself as is off, and it's placed on something you think it should be on instead of what your actual expertise is. So that needs to be changed. Or whatever you're putting out is actually awesome, but you don't fully own yourself in it. That's most common one that I see with women entrepreneurs that are spiritual, because it's like, oh, but this thing that I do, I don't know if I do. Like, really look at your whole life, not just this specific thing in your business you do, but your whole life. So you can see how much you actually do the thing that you wobbling about. So you can internally own that. And then envision your container growing so you can really hold it. Because whatever we can hold, we can sell. Same goes with pricing, by the way, because if somebody can hold 10,000 and they're trying to sell something for 20, that's not going to sell because they can only hold 10. So we need to grow our container, and sometimes it's a gradual process. Not everybody can jump from 0 to 100 or something right away. So if this is something that resonates with you and you understanding that this is where you definitely need some adjustments, some help, I would love to help you out. My cat decided to visit us. I would love to help you out with this process and help you translate a little bit more what you do into something that is actually promotable correctly. And there's many different ways how I work, but message me so then I can look at your business, look at what is it you're putting out, and I can give you some ideas as to what I see is off and what needs to be adjusted for you to either grow your container or adjust the point of what you're promoting and so on, and how we can do that together as we go along. All right, so if you'd like, put the word simple in the comments so that way I know to message you and tell you about what I do and how we can connect so I can look at your business. Or you can message me directly, definitely, so that I can help you. And ideally, we, start adjusting you soon because the world so needs us. The world so needs us, conscious spiritual coaches and healers and holistic professionals. This is the time. This is the time where it's like the planet requiring conscious people that are bringing the whole economy up to the next level. And we are the leaders of that process. So I'm looking forward to connecting with you. My love to you, and from the kitty as well. Bye.